That might very well be a tool in our quiver, an
Mhm.
arrow in our
Tool
quiver.
chest.
I'm
Tool in the
mixing
tool chest.
I'm mixing analogies. It's a hammer in my quiver. What do you? Isn't that where you put yours? Hey, welcome to Prompt and Circumstance. My name's David,
And I'm Ilan.
and this is the beginning of season 2 of our podcast, where we're going to be exploring getting an actual product to market.
Wow, season 2.
Season 2. How far we've come.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about that, David. Why are we trying to show how to bring a product to market, right? How does that fit in with the overall ethos of our podcast?
Yeah, well, for a lot of product people and entrepreneurs, this whole AI tooling capability that we now have at our fingertips, it's really changing the game, and I think it would be great for us to build in public
Mhm.
and see where things are meeting the hype and where things fall short. Both of us with our product experience, let's apply that where we're going to identify a problem to solve, identify the market, and then as we go through that process of addressing that market, we're going to want to be AI first. The kinds of tools that we would use to accomplish all of the above, we would want to, all right, let's default to using an AI tool first and see how far we can get. Where do things fall short? And where do we need to, hand crank things the old fashioned way?
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. The thing I would add there is that for product teams or product folks who are listening or watching here, you may not want to start your own thing. We're not even sure that we want to start our own thing long term. Um, both of us work full time, but the goal here is really to be able to show you how AI tools will be able to shortcut certain parts of the product development process for you. And we're going to learn along the way. So the real goal here is that we end up all having gotten better for this, and maybe David will be the first founder partnership to start a unicorn with just 2 people. But
Let's do it.
also
Yeah.
but also maybe we'll make $5. And I think that if we're able to make $5 from a product that we create, that's success.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be the case that somebody applying similar methods is creating a brand new company. As
Mm-hmm.
a product person, you could totally have a new product that's 0 to 1. You could have a new feature that's a part of an existing product that you are looking at how you can validate that as you go through the process. So I think this is very relevant.
All right. So with that, we came into today both having done a little bit of background research on some problem areas, and that's really what we're going to focus on for the first episode of season 2. Is the first part of discovery, right? How do you find a problem that is worth solving? And in our case, this is green field, blue sky, whatever you want to call it. So, David, how did you go about generating some ideas on areas to think about? This is a great time for me to tell you about our first sponsor for this week, Co.Lab. Co.Lab will help go with your idea to the market, make sure that people actually want it, and then you can even get them to build that for you and hand over a product with your first paying customers. Click on the link in our show notes to find out more and let them know David and Ilan sent you for $250 off the Validate and Build product.
All right, so what I did was I opened up deep research in GPT, and I told it that I'm looking for some niche problems that I want to address, or a different way of putting it, some problems to address in niche markets. So the idea behind this is that, well, it could be easy to say I want to help doctors in general, but it's a lot easier to say I want to help doctors in this situation who have these kinds of attributes, because this way it's a lot easier to find somebody with those attributes who have that particular issue, or not, or maybe they don't have that issue, and then you can just stop and pivot. So that's what I did. GPT was kind enough to give me this report with 17,000 words, this 36-page report, uh, with 10 problems. And so what I had actually asked for was not only a list of 10 potential problems, but also some ideas on how this might be addressed, and why the existing solutions aren't so good. So I went fairly broad with my approach to it. How about you? What did you do?
I went deeper on a couple of areas that I cheated. I've already been thinking about, and so what I did is I just gave you 2 bullet points of what I'm thinking about. So the first one is related to this problem of teachers and the amount of time that they spend marking assignments. And there's what I have observed is that a number of teachers are now using ChatGPT to mark assignments. I had done a lot of research a few years ago about time savings for teachers, and this is just a general problem that many teachers face, is that they are overworked and they are looking for ways to save themselves time.
So is there a subset of teachers, like maybe those who teach language versus those who teach math or science or music?
Yeah, so where I focused was on teachers who need to mark subjectively. So that would be language, so an English teacher marking essays, or a French teacher marking a short answer French assignment, where there are some objective criteria, like how many grammar mistakes did you make, but generally they need to apply their subjective reasoning to that marking, and it's a lot more difficult. Right, when I did research on this, when I talked to math teachers, the science teachers, they generally didn't mention marking as a problem area for them. They're like, nah, I get that done in an hour after work every day. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was really these language teachers, English, languages, history, um, who tended to have this observation that they're spending a lot of time marking. So I had actually built a product. I've begun validating it with my ICP. But as I was doing that, I began talking to other folks outside of this area just about the application, and something that came up was, well, doesn't this have adjacent capabilities? What about somebody who's studying for the bar exam and they need to mark their essay? Right? People pay thousands of dollars to have a person mark their practice essays for the
I think
bar
that's
exam.
a really good signal about willingness to pay,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it's one thing to say that, oh yeah, I have this problem and it bothers me. It's another to say that I have attempted to solve this with money, because you can go in there and say I can either solve it better and you can pay the same amount, or I can solve it just as good, with a lower rate of pay. Yeah.
Exactly. So what that got me thinking is that maybe the market is not language teachers and history teachers, social science teachers. Maybe the market is anyone who has some kind of long form text that they need to evaluate in a consistent way, and that the product itself is actually a platform for that could be white labeled to anybody, where it could be pre-trained with their materials and then become
Mhm.
the bar exam marker. It could become the case study tool. It could become the tool for teachers. And that the actual technology is that underlying tool, which can be easily fine-tuned for each of these capabilities.
That's quite the revelation, and I think it's great because it does provide a fairly crisp definition of the problem, while not limiting your market to be too narrow. What comes to mind for me, because I wrote my GMAT, and part of that includes an essay. And let me tell you, people are willing to pay for like Kaplan or other kinds of companies to provide them with the tools to prep for these exams.
That's right.
So that's really cool. What's your second one?
The second one is very, very niche. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an avid cyclist. I've been biking a lot. Mountain biking, road riding, etc. for going on 25 years now.
Is it, and it's both, right? It's both mountain biking and road. I find
That's
that
right.
people tend to gravitate towards one or the other.
I mean, I was going to say we could have an entire podcast. I used to have an entire podcast about this. So the problem is there's this very small niche of those people who would like to have a custom frame. There's a market of custom frame builders around the world. You go to them and they will build a bike just for you.
And what's the benefit of having a custom frame? Is it like a custom suit? It just fits your body better, and so it's more ergonomic?
That is certainly one of the benefits. I would say that a custom frame builder would probably position that as the main benefit. I think that the main benefit is that everyone else who sees your bike, who knows what they're looking at, is going to look at your bike and be like, wow, you have a custom bike. That's
it's
really
a status
cool.
symbol.
It's a status symbol. Just like a custom suit.
I see. Okay.
In my own life, I've gone through phases where I think that I would like a custom frame. And it is obscenely difficult to find who's out there, who's a good fit for the type of bike that you're looking for. What are the costs? Because they vary widely. There are custom frame builders who will make you a frame for about $2,000, which may sound like a lot to some people, but if you go to your local bike shop and you ask how much is a medium high end frame, it'll be about $2,000.
2,000, you said?
$2,000.
Okay. Yeah, and that's 2,000 Canadian.
2,000 Canadian, maybe 2,500 Canadian, 2,000 US.
All right.
And then there's this one custom frame builder in Australia called Bastion. Their frames start around $10,000 US.
That was around the price mark that I was thinking, and now I like to bike, but I wouldn't put myself anywhere close to the category of being an avid cyclist. But thinking about the price range of some of the avid level gear, I would have expected 5 figures.
Yeah, they easily go into 5 figures. I've gone a long time on this, as you can tell. This is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. But the idea is some kind of discovering some kind of solution to this problem of people who are looking for custom frames, maybe at a certain price point, and people who make custom frames who are looking for more customers.
Yeah, well, it might not be a big TAM in terms of the number of people, but the price per person might be higher than some of these other ones that GPT generated on my list. And so overall at like a dollar figure level, the TAM might be just as big, if not bigger. I would argue. So, all right, let's dive into what GPT generated here.
Since we're talking about product discovery, let's tell you about one of our favorite tools to use in this process, Querio. Querio is an AI agent which sits on top of your data stack and allows you to ask natural language questions to pull out data insights. It's the perfect tool if you're looking to understand market segments and user data, as well as trends within your product. Click on the link in our show notes to try it today and let them know that David and Ilan sent you for 2 months free. That is a $1,200 value for our listeners.
And so I took the lazy no brain approach to it, which is just they just do my thinking for me. So it went out and identified these top 10 problems to address. And what I'm thinking of doing is just sort of vibe evaluating these at a high level, and then if any of them seem interesting, then we can dive a little bit deeper into the report. What do you think?
Sounds great.
The first problem is about pet care coordination, targeting tech-savvy pet parents. That's interesting. The next one is about addressing remote worker isolation. So distributed teams and freelancers who might, I assume, feel a little bit lonely. So maybe solving that problem. The third one is personal sustainability tracking. So for people who are eco-conscious, helping them to perhaps, make sure that what they are doing is sustainable.
David, one thing that I wonder as you're going through these, are there, at the end of the day, I think that if you're going to be working in a problem space, especially a greenfield problem space, shouldn't it be something that interests you, to which you have some kind of connection? I mentioned it as you got to that personal sustainability tracking. I know both of us are concerned about the direction of sustainability in the world. We've joked before that probably starting a podcast about AI tools was maybe not the the vehicle.
You mean you don't want more wildfires?
Or water scarcity. But yeah, so I wonder if as you're vibe evaluating these, if there are any that jump out as something that you either have like a personal connection to, or where a little bit about the space. Like you mentioned pet coordination. Both of us have pets. That's something that I think both of us can at least bring a little bit of personal knowledge into.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and especially for people who are looking to spin up a whole company. You got to make sure that you care about what you do, because the expectation is that there's going to be some really difficult times, and all that you have to keep you going is the fact that you care about solving this problem. That's a really good point. I was thinking of going through this just out of interest to see where the kinds of stuff that GPT generated, and then let's I'll go through it quickly. How about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So the next one is micro influencer management. So first, hey, look, small content creators, that's us. So I guess it's about managing their whole social channels. Next one is family caregiver coordination. So for maybe those who are taking care of the elderly or disabled in their family, and they got to do it all themselves. All right, next one is college application planning. So for high school students who are college bound, or perhaps the parents of those students looking to help take care of maybe some coordination around that. Solo travel safety and community. So for people who are traveling by themselves, perhaps especially young female travelers, safety is a concern, and maybe this is a way to help them address that. Okay, renter maintenance tracking. So for renters that are in small scale housing, I don't know what this is referring to. I don't know what problem that could be referring to.
I've actually worked with a group. I mentored a group in a course who tackled this problem. It's actually a big one that maintenance software for landlords is really geared towards the macro landlords who own thousands of units, and these landlords who own, here it says fewer than 10 units. There are many landlords out there who own like 1, 2, up to 10 units, and they don't really have a good solution. They use a lot of offline solutions, just WhatsApp to coordinate um,
Mm,
when is the maintenance happening, like there's a problem, when is the maintenance happening, follow up, etc. And it can be quite frustrating for the renters if the landlord is not super communicative, because they just, there's whatever, your toilet is clogged or your toilet's broken, and you just have
right.
no idea when you're going to have a toilet again.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'd imagine it sounds like it's going to be a kludge of spreadsheets and
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Rolodex, but basically like Google Contacts, right? To know who to call
Right.
for what situation. Yep, makes sense. All right. So next one is Urban Gardening Network. So for urban gardening enthusiasts. So for those who live in some cities that have certain green spaces for people to garden, maybe this has to do with finding other people in your community or solving some problems related to that. Side hustle craft business management. So for indie craft sellers, so presumably people on like say Etsy, um, who make their own little trinkets or little hats or the knit, that kind of stuff. So that's interesting. There are two things that I personally want to add to our list to consider. So the first one has to do with tracking, not so much tracking. The problem is that um, the food that we eat, the things that we consume, sometimes have things that we don't want to consume. So, for example, artificial sweeteners. That's something that I personally don't want to consume. There's some health adverse health effects that might be associated with those that I want to avoid. And so another example would be some artificial colors are associated with elevating the risk of cancer. And so those things, for example, I want to make sure that I avoid. And what I have to do today is manually read the entire ingredients of
Mm.
every single new thing that I pick up at the store. And it ends up being time consuming, and my family moves on, and I'm just left standing there in, in the aisle. So it becomes time consuming for me.
May I add to that as well? Both of us have young children, and that's also a concern when you have a very young child, right? You need to be super, super careful about once they start eating on their own, what are you feeding them? What is in there? What is acceptable? I remember having this problem when uh, my kid was young, that there was no good way of tracking and understanding what were the products that were acceptable, given my goals parenting, or the restrictions that I felt were appropriate. Um, for my child. So there's also potentially some other use cases or other markets there, right? Other ICPs.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think about artificial colors, I'm thinking for my kids as well, because something like Allure Red, also known as Red 40, is associated with attention deficit issues for kids if they consume it very young. So absolutely, and you'd be surprised how many candy products that target children use that coloring. It's upsetting. So, so I would like to make it easy for people to simply avoid those products.
I'll add as well with some evidence, right? Because you can easily find people who will tell you good or not good online, right? With
Mhm.
absolutely no evidence, no nothing behind their argument other than like, I say that you should be doing this.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't know what xanthan gum is. Move on. Right. When it's perfectly inert. Yeah. So that's a good point to be able to give trust on the judgment of it. So anyway, I think this is an interesting start on the GPT side. As we dive into some of these, I'll be curious where it landed. So here we're talking about the eco-conscious consumers. Well, maybe let's have a look at that, at the personal sustainability tracking, and see what it came up with. All right, so it looks like the problem is that environmentally conscious people struggle to measure and improve their personal sustainability impact. Things like carbon footprint, waste reduction, or sustainable product choices in an easy and motivating way.
Yeah, this is I when I was reading through these, something that jumped out that's highlighted here: 81% of global consumers feel companies should help improve the environment. Right, and this is one thing that is near and dear to my heart. The fact that there's a lot of emphasis on personal sustainability when all of us could switch to super low consumption light bulbs and drive an electric car, and it still won't make a dent in the overall emissions in the world. Um, but I think one of the things that came out here is the kind of green intent consumer, the person who's trying to find the companies who are doing the right thing, to make better choices, right? Vote with their dollar
Mm-hmm.
on which products they should use, and in that way, maybe influence the broader private market um, towards being more sustainable.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The convenience factor that that this report mentions, I think, is a key part of all this. You could, in theory, while standing at the store, maybe after looking at the ingredients of a product, then look up the ESG report for that company. Yeah, just open up your browser and navigate to the investor relations side of right. You're
Mm-hmm.
not doing that, so yeah, I think that's a really good point. That if we are able to surface this information and make it more conveniently accessible, then that could make a difference for people. What's interesting here is that there's some good citations that the report has provided, and so if we wanted to look at the actual source and not just trust AI willy nilly, we have that option here. Right. So moving on. So here it's identified the ideal customer persona. So it's saying somebody with a green intent living in North America between 20 and 45, middle class. I think it's speculating. There's no citations here justifying that. So I had asked GPT to look at what are the current ways that people are solving for each of these problems. And it looks like there are some apps like Jewelbug and Oroco. How do you say it?
I
Oro Eco. Okay, I think I
Okay.
see it now. Oro Eco. All right. Where they're trying to gamify sustainable actions. Okay. Anyway, so I think that's interesting that it found these apps as things that are trying to solve the current problem. And so, if we were to dive into this, I'd be curious to learn more about. Okay, are the people using that? Like, what are they dissatisfied with, for example?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting, though, at a high level, reading through this, the um, thing that jumped out at me is that there are many people trying to solve this problem, and yet um, there's not a great uptake on those solutions. And so, a any effort in this area probably is reserved for that kind of like small scale, very targeted, very niche user um, area, rather than something that is like a bigger market kind of app. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what jumped out at me, right? If like lots of people have tried and they've all failed, yeah, you need to do more research on why that is. But it also kind of tells you that maybe there's like not a there there.
All right, so here the next section is about potential solutions, and this is again part of the prompt that I gave it is to speculate on, hey, what might be a lightweight software application that could help address this. So it's talking about a personal carbon and waste tracker that people could use to log their daily sustainable actions. I don't know. Um, Next would be a green rewards and marketplace. it's okay, I guess. And by the way, with each of these suggestions, I told it to come up with a business model as well. Right? I mean, it's one thing to address the problem. The other is also, hey, let's find a way to monetize. So, talking about affiliate revenue model, that's kind of meh. And let's see one more here: community challenge and coaching app. Okay, so an example would be a 30-day zero plastic challenge. I guess this would take advantage of maybe social networks, where it's like, hey, Ilan, I recycled, uh, you know, 12 cartons today. How about you?
Right. Use shame as a
Yeah, that's right. You better go out and buy some cartons and just pour out the content so that you can recycle it some more.
right.
Yeah.
I do think that this highlights the possibility of using AI for doing some of your market research. Right? We've talked about this a little bit in our deep research episode. Um, but one of the advantages that you can see in general is cited metrics around the market. You get some competitive intelligence as well. You can start to understand, as I said earlier, is there a there? Um, and the deep research application has done some of that pre-thinking for you so that you can take that and like really apply your own critical thinking to these problems. All right, David. So where do we go next?
Let's each take one idea and let's dive a little bit deeper into the discovery aspect of that. And I think it'd be great for us to use an AI powered tool that we haven't previously used.
Very cool. So we're each going to come next week with one AI tool that we're going to discuss here on the podcast and tell you how it helped us or didn't to speed along our discovery process.
Yeah, well, I look forward to learning about your choice of AI tool.
Same.
All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, give us a rating and review, and you can find us on the socials at P and C Podcast.
See you next week.
See ya.